Hello again and welcome to another video where I will be looking at second order consequences, in this case about renewable energy. So second order consequences, we're basically trying to look up something is happening that's new, a disruption, maybe a new concept has been introduced or a new topic. In this case it's renewable energy, so that's a big disruption. What are the immediate consequences of that, and then what are the consequences of those consequences? So we kind of try to understand a bit what to expect in the future, and how to prepare for it. So this, you can see that this is not actually very big. I was not able to come up with that many immediate consequences. But first of all, the first thing that we know about renewable energy is that it is an intermittent energy source. So when the sun is not shining, when the wind is not blowing, you have peaks and then you have troughs of energy. So you need to store that somewhere. Otherwise, the disruption of everyday use of energy is too big. And that means there will be, of course, a demand for battery storage and development. And that also, as a direct consequence of the renewable energy, you need that extra material and those extra energy resources for the transition. Here I mean that you need maybe some fossil fuels to extract the metals and the minerals of which the new solar panels are made or the wind turbines are made, and you need the energy to move that around and process it. And that demand for the battery also needs that transition, that extra cost. And all of this is, it's needed, but there is a problem, which is that you increase the pollution somewhat by doing it, and that long term you are extracting more things out of the earth that are not finite. So the resource scarcity that we will have to face is accelerated somewhat. But we think that right now that is better to the alternative of continuing as we are, releasing greenhouse gases and that affecting the whole ecosystem. So I can see how that is justified, but the problem will come eventually. Okay, something interesting about renewable energy is that you can finally allow for decentralization of energy production. And you could do that before. For example, there are portable generators that use gasoline, but they are, you need to get the oil in the first place, which you cannot produce yourself, whereas the sun and the wind are everywhere, so you can actually produce it on site. And this has interesting impacts because, first of all, the energy utilities will be severely disrupted, because at some point it will become cheaper for the energy to be generated on site than it is to transport it from a more central location to your house. So they will not be able to compete if the price declines continue as they have been. And as people become small energy producers, that translates into cost savings or even profits for many families or landlords. I suspect that most people will not own the infrastructure to produce the energy, so they might opt for a system like, for example, Solar City, or which is now Tesla. But basically, the company puts the panels on your house. You don't have to pay for them, but you get the benefit of a reduced energy bill. Meanwhile, the company still owns the panels, and if they get damaged, they can replace them, or if you decide not to be with them anymore, they can just take them away. But that lowers the cost for people, so they don't have to put that money down to own the panels and then wait, 20 years to get the money back. So when you have a model like that accelerates the implementation of renewable energy, in this case solar panels, and you get the immediate cost savings, which is what might give the incentive for a lot of people to make the switch. But the biggest impact of renewable energy is that traditional energy is disrupted. And here we are counting as traditional energy natural gas, coal, oil, and fission nuclear. So biofuel can be also incorporated here. So natural gas and coal exploration, this is this disruption, that the cost declines that we have seen. So the cost to produce solar energy and wind energy has gone dramatically down, exponentially down, for the last, I don't know, decades. And at some point, if it continues, I mean, it has already, in many places, it's already the cheapest option. But if it continues like that at this speed, there's not much the other ones can do, because they cannot become cheaper that fast. So a lot of explorations will be abandoned. A lot of industries will become bankrupt. A lot of, yeah, for example, fracking in deep water, this is a bit more costly than the onshore oil extraction. That will have serious economic consequences, because they have all of this infrastructure, all of this cost, and now they cannot, even if they extract the resource, the energy, they cannot sell it because they're being outcompeted by a cheaper product. So all of this will affect this industry in a big way. There will be a big economic contraction for these specific industries. And in oil particularly, it might hang out a bit longer. There could be, for example, a fight for public subsidies for oil and biofuel, because they are so big of an industry. And on the other hand, they might also not completely go away. They might specialize instead in polymers and plastics and bioplastic industries, which is something useful that doesn't rely just on the combustion of the energy, which causes the greenhouse gases. So when you make the plastic, there is some emissions, but at the very least, this is something that stores the carbon in a way, and that's good for the climate. And the more immediate, positive effects of renewable energy is that you have reduced greenhouse emissions and reduced water usage. So here I'm thinking about the life cycle. When you compare renewable energy with the other traditional energies, yes, it does emit less greenhouse gases in all the steps, and the water usage is also reduced. So that's a very positive aspect. So as you can see, this is a big disruption that we are living through, and I would say that the benefits outweigh the issues, but on the other hand, it's not all rosy, especially the resource part. This will be a problem eventually. And of course, there are the job losses that come from these industries, and the relocation of people that will also have impact. But overall, I think it will be a net positive. So yeah, now you can understand a bit the consequences of switching to renewable energy. So thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.